What is up, Dream Media family? Welcome back to another episode here in my home in Colorado. I'm here with Chase, our regional sales manager, and he has helped me in outfitting some of the remaining items here in the home. And today I wanted to make a video specifically on nothing but this formal living room. Well, technically we're going to be discussing the formal kitchen dining room because as you can see the way I have the camera positioned, it is one massive 60 by 25 foot room. It's huge, guys, and getting quality audio in a space like this is, to say the least, challenging.
Yeah.
So in today's video, we're going to discuss how I was able to retro this room, retro wire it, and achieve high performance audio throughout the entire space. Now, keep in mind, I do have additional upgrades coming, but I wanted to just find a stopping point and update you guys on where we're at because it seems like the upgrades never end in this house.
Yeah, so we finished where we are right now. We sat with the room for about 2 weeks.
Yep.
And now we're here to give our opinion. You know, we run into this a lot where not everyone has a house with a dedicated room.
Most people don't.
Theater. No.
Most people don't.
And instead of shying away from that, we wanted to embrace it, see how much we could tune in this space. I mean, it is massive. If you're talking, that back kitchen wall is, what, almost 60 feet away from the front of the room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, 60 feet.
25-foot width. The staircases are open, the hallway.
Not to mention the 18-foot ceilings.
Double tall right here, yeah.
And you guys can probably hear, even right now, there's a bit of reverb in the room. So in today's video, we're gonna deep dive into every single element where I started, which was with a Sonos soundbar, which was just irking me, to where we are today.
Yeah.
Talking about room acoustics, talking about the complex wiring, everything down to model numbers that are currently installed in the space. So if you guys would like to purchase anything home theater related or 2-channel hi-fi, now in Colorado's full smart home integration, shades, lighting, networking, security, the whole 9 yards. As you can see right here, we have a nice URC touch panel in the home for making it easy to operate everything. Reach out. We would love the opportunity to earn your business. You can also shop online anytime at our website, dreammediaav.com. All right, guys, let's get into this video.
Approach a space like this, the first thing an audiophile is going to think of is the room acoustics.
Yep.
How bouncy the room is, how bouncy it sounds right now.
Yep.
Wood floors, massive windows, wood ceilings, very open space.
Horrific for an audiophile.
But, you know, the way modern technology is going, tuning software, DSP, the quality and sound pressure speakers are able to put out, we're able to kind of combat this. And I guess our first issue was, well, there's nowhere to put up acoustic treatment, whether diffusers or absorbers, but you do have plenty of windows that were a good candidate for some screen innovation.
Fabric roller shades.
Yeah, fabric roller shades. And what we're able to do by that is, honestly, it's crazy how big of a difference is. When we drop all these shades, this room deadens up. It goes from like almost, it's not as live as a cathedral, but very live. You hear resonance, sustain in your voice, in the audio in the room. We drop those and it really starts to dial the room in. All this furniture helps, us sitting here helps.
We have big,
carpet,
thick underlayment underneath our rugs. Big, thick plush. It's nice on the feet, but it also helps absorb some of that audio. But the shades, I'll say, I mean, these are 10-foot tall windows, guys, around the whole room. And it's probably 75% of the room is windows.
Yeah.
So what we've done with installing these SI shades, I've chosen fabric ones specifically. It does act like, not as good as like a actual cinema round from Acoustics or something like that, but it does absorb the audio versus when the shades are open, it's just reflecting right off the glass. So we're gonna be creating a few different presets, DSP modes for tuning to the windows open versus the windows closed. But I did listen with a friend of mine over the weekend who has a home theater as well. I sat him down and I said, get a load of this, man. You're gonna like this. You have never heard anything like this in a living room. He sat down, we did Ready Player One, and he was in awe. Like, I just watched his face and he was like, what is happening? Yeah. Like, he was like, where are the speakers? Like, he didn't understand as like King Kong was like smashing his way through the room. He's like, what am I hearing right now? Yeah. And the way that these speakers are spread out, you get a very immersive 3D experience. But we've added some bass in, which we'll get into in a minute, that makes it very impactful.
It's a very wide image. I mean, so if you get those effects where something comes from the front of the room to the back of the room, it's almost traveling 40 feet.
It is.
You know, it's...
Yeah, probably 45 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 45 feet front to back.
So when you hear Godzilla running back, I mean, it's like he's running away in the background of this room, headed out to the back patio. It's kind of crazy sounding, yeah.
It's really sick. So room acoustics, I want to kind of do this in chapters for you guys because there's so much to cover. We put in the shades day one. Immediately, as soon as I knew I was closing on this home, we built, semi-built this one. We got in after most of the things were already done, but we got to pick a few little things like, you know, our chandeliers and, you know, little stuff. We added in some fire pits and things like that, which I'll show you guys the backyard. It has a killer system in there as well. But the first thing I ordered were shades because I knew it would take 6 to 8 weeks to come in, minimum, a couple months. So I got those on order before we even moved in. And that was the first thing that went up were the shades. And at the time, now we have some fairly mature trees that have been growing for a couple years and they're starting to fill in, and give it another 3 years and our neighbors will disappear. But day one, me and the neighbors were sitting there at night going, hey, just like literally staring at each other through the windows. Luckily, he's a really cool guy, but regardless, you don't want to feel like your neighbors are staring at you. So we got it for privacy primarily, but I chose the fabric I chose for acoustical performance because I did intend to do something in this space. In this room, we're running light filtering shades. In our movie room, the theater room upstairs / ball pit room, it's my son's like playroom technically, we have knockout shades. So we could be out there and up there in the middle of the day and reduce all of the light, and we have an ultra short throw projector that's extremely bright and vibrant.
And that screen innovation screen really rejects ambient light in the room well. And it performs well even if your light, I mean, we
even
sat
with
up there
the
and watched it with
shades
the
wide open. Yeah.
Midday with the sun coming in. And we've still got a pretty vivid picture.
It's all about the correct product selection, really, guys. And that's what we pride ourselves on here at Dream Media. And that's what you're gonna find through my entire home tour is there's so many unique products, and we attend all of the trade shows around the country consistently. The next one coming up here is CEDIA, to ensure that we're at the forefront. And whenever little situations arise where we're, you know, customers like, what should I even do here? We have solutions. We're Johnny on the spot with it. Yeah. So shades, there's different variants available. In this room, I did light filtering. So what that means is light still comes into the room. It's not completely knockout, but nobody can see in and we can't see out. So it's more of a privacy screen. And it also, because it's a nice thicker fabric, it does help with the acoustical performance in the space.
And this isn't a room that I would necessarily recommend a blackout screen anyway.
No.
You know, if you were to kill all the light in this room, it would kind of take the life out of this space. It's meant to be this big...
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this isn't a dedicated theater room. It's a pretty sweet media room, but we treated it as such, you know. We didn't try and turn this into a dedicated cinema. Yeah. You already have one.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, Chase. I did contemplate doing like a 0G, you know, tension screen from up there from SI, you know, the ones that motorized drop down, and maybe popping a projector into my son's room.
Two theaters.
Yeah, right underneath his little bed there. I was thinking I could put a projector housing in there and shoot. I don't know, just getting crazy with it for like phase 2 if we end up staying here long term.
I just think this is a great example of how you can get a really immersive audio experience in one of these multi-purpose rooms. It's never going to really speak to you as a dedicated movie theater. I mean, again, there's 20 windows in this room or something like that.
And that's part of the magic is we use this room every single day. A lot of people have dedicated spaces. You almost have to schedule times with your family, like have family time allocated to go to the movie room and make sure you do enjoy it. There's no chance that every single day we're guaranteed to use this room.
Yeah.
Every single day. So it's a really good investment and something that I've been enjoying thoroughly day in and day out.
It's also pretty cool that you can sit at the dinner table and still be in the surround image.
Yeah, it's right in that dining table. You'll still feel the effects ripping around you.
Yeah.
Or Cocoa Melon playing.
At that point, but it's really cool stuff.
So we've gone over the shades, guys. That was the first step for me. The next step for this room was lighting control,
which we tackled with Lutron.
I cannot understate lighting control. That's got to be my number 2, even before audio video in a home. Shades and lighting are my first 2 must-have items.
It's hard to live somewhere without proper light control. Maybe it's because not everyone's experienced it.
That's what it is.
Lights beaming at 100% it makes me miserable in most spaces. It's hard to walk around the house at night.
Especially at night.
Yeah.
It's horrible at night.
Or the sun's glaring in and then all of a sudden, even though you have a pretty nice QLED Samsung TV, there's only so much you can make up for, and it really makes it feel like home. We're never
cozy.
It's never drawing our attention.
It's a vibe, is what it is.
The space.
It's absolutely 100% a vibe. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. And I think you hit the nail on the head. If you haven't experienced it before, you probably don't know what we're talking about. But if you've had even one room where you have complete control over the exact percentage of every single light, it's a vibe and it's something that you have to have. So and now we've taken it a step further to where everything is automated. So different times of the day, the appropriate amount of light is displaying through every single fixture, every single can, every single sconce at that time of day. Yeah. Like at night, I'm in between maybe 5% dim and 50% dim on 90% of the fixtures in the home. Whereas like this time of day, we're shooting content, I ran a macro to go 100 so that it's nice and bright.
Yeah.
When I first wake up in the morning at 6:37, these shades come up and my lighting comes on to my morning routine, which is kind of like a 70%, 50 to 70%, because the sun's still coming up. I'm still opening my eyeballs and trying to get my coffee in. So I have it a little bit softer. And then as soon as my meetings start at 9 o'clock, boom, everything is tuned up, nice and bright. I feel alive, and it really does make a world of difference on the day-to-day. Like you brought up nighttime viewing, my neighbor over there, he was actually wondering what was going on at my home because his lights were either 100 or off, and he was like, man, your house just looks so cozy, because he could see right in the house when the shades aren't shut. And just that overall vibe and energy really adds to your overall lifestyle.
Yeah, I think people miss this sometimes, but how important, something I noticed when I put smart lighting in my house was how much it helped my sleep routine. If I wake up in the middle of the night or it's a late night, I'm up on meetings late, if my office is cooking at 100% with an LED bulb, you get out of that and you are wide awake.
Yeah, and you can't sleep.
No, and the softer lights, you can even set them up to change the hues of the light bulbs. Yeah. So that we knock down the Kelvin.
Yeah, so I'm pretty traditional. I'm like I guess an old school guy, just like traditional type things. And I just have about 3,000 Kelvin throughout the entire home, a nice soft white.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them are like 2,800 Kelvin, but we do offer RGBW lighting to where that means you get the entire color spectrum. For a lot of these like modern homes, we're speccing that out so that they can like turn it into a nightclub if they want, with blues and reds and greens. And really, you can even coordinate. We have controllers where you can coordinate your lighting control with your scenes for like music listening. Like if you want to have a karaoke party, or you know, we can align your lighting with the screen itself, so when you're watching a movie it like reflects through.
Or time of day.
Or time of day.
With the sunlight, what you're supposed to be viewing. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the softwares that pull the blue lights off of your computer based on time of day and where the sun is and what you
That's
should
a real
be experiencing.
thing. Whenever I sit on my computer late into the night, I'm wired and have a hard time going to sleep.
Yeah, and this just kind of helps you stay relaxed. One of my favorite features, which we both have, is the nightlight feature. If we or our significant others wake up in the middle of the night, they're able to set track lights or just the overhead lights to a nice dim volume that doesn't disturb the other person and doesn't fully wake you up. So you're able to get up, walk around, get right back into bed. You don't feel like you've been staring right into the sun. You're not getting any harshness on your eyes. It makes the world a difference once you experience it, really does. Yeah,
we've given you guys some examples here, but it is kind of hard to describe. Once you've had it, you'll never go back. Here's one more example off the top of my head. I have what's called an occupancy sensor down in the mudroom and in the hallway that you can set for certain times of the day. Certain times of the day, you walk past that occupancy sensor and it'll either create a night light if it's nighttime. If it's first thing in the morning, they'll go to 100% because that mudroom's kind of dark. It only has one window as I'm taking my son to school. So really the key and what we're getting into here at Dream Media is making the home, the smart home, work for you to where you get to just enjoy your life and you just get used to the home operating itself on a day-to-day basis, which in upcoming videos, we're gonna be showing you guys a new feature that URC offers that we've been testing and is actually really cool. I'm having a brain fart. What's the name of the?
Geofencing?
Geofencing.
Yeah.
It's called geofencing. So it tracks your IP address on your phone, and whenever I get within 50 meters of the house or I leave the house, either or is triggered. The shades either lower, all lighting goes off, or shades go up and all lighting comes on to my preset. That does two things. It's saving me energy. Here in the summer months, it's actually doing something more important. It's cutting back on the radiant heat that is generated by the sun coming in and warming up the inside of the house. We don't have HVAC because it doesn't really get that hot, but it does get a little warm. When we're pushing 80 degrees in those July months, it's a little uncomfortable. So that feature keeps the house nice and cool. Additionally, it does another thing that I just noticed the other day, Chase. These leather sofas, before having that in place, which I'll have to do some conditioning on these later, but it actually changed the color of the couch. The sunlight actually like damaged these leather couches. Because the sun is so intense. That half section, maybe I'll show you guys on the camera later, that half section that gets hit by the sun actually is a different color from the other half of the couch.
So like your car, the sun will fade anything over time.
It's faded the really leather and it's dried it out. So if you have really expensive like artwork on your wall.
Especially artwork can be devastated by the sun long term.
We could put a macro in where every single day it'll detect through the weather app where the sun is. When it hits that spot, we don't want your artwork to get ruined. We drop that shade down to protect your investment. So there's like endless applications. And that's really what I'm excited to do, is sit down and kind of just have open dialogue with you guys as our audience, as well as with Chase about all these different homes. Later this week, we're gonna be heading over to 2 properties that we've recently finished here in Colorado to show what we're doing here, which is essentially what I'm showing off here in my own home, but we're gonna show real customers' projects that we're working on actively in the field to give you guys more inspiration, because every home is unique.
Both of those are fully integrated smart homes. It should be pretty cool.
Cool properties too. You guys will have to stay tuned for those videos. They're gonna be, I'm really excited to head out and film some content for you tomorrow. We also have a couple more over in Copper Mountain that we'll film maybe after CEDIA for you.
you know, the automation based on time of day, with the shades, with the lights, with your geofencing, it just takes more off of your plate. You have less responsibilities. You know, sometimes being a homeowner can become overwhelming. There's so much to deal with every day.
Tell me about it.
And, you know, so if he's running late to get his little man to school, he can just dip. The house
One
takes care
less
of itself.
thing to worry about.
Yeah, the shades drop, the lights dim, doors lock. The house is working for Zach instead of Zach dedicating
Well, before
his time every day.
Yeah, before the URC system, it was a matter of, I would say, not even fabricating here or exaggerating. We're probably talking about 15 to 30 minutes every day just opening up apps.
Yeah, whether it's
Every day of my life.
the shades, you know, and now, thanks to URC and how deep we've got to get into the programming, he doesn't even need to open up the URC app.
Don't even touch
to
it.
Take care of itself.
And we've integrated in Alexa too, so I'm getting super lazy. But it's great because that's what we do. We're kids playing with toys out here, and we just want to make them better and better and better every year. So we talked about our shades, our lights. There's also another aspect that's really important to every single home. And I should have bumped this to number one, and that's networking.
Oh yeah.
When you guys hire us for whole home system designs, we're gonna come in and put in a super robust static IPs, quality infrastructure for your entire network to ensure that things operate long-term seamlessly, and add in other features such as, I'll drop the video up here, we just did a video on big dog surge protectors, things like smart reboot, auto reboot if it detects an IP address falls off the network. So we're diving deep, guys, into really offering a turnkey white glove solution to all of our homeowners here in Colorado. So networking, shades, lights, what's next? Well, you gotta have a good vibe going throughout the house. I would say music is my my next.
Music's really high for me.
Even more than movies. So
yeah, I can't live without it.
So initially, the first thing I did, day one, is we threw up the soundbar actually even before the TV.
Just to have music.
Just to have some music going. So initially I had a bunch of Sonos products throughout the house. Big shout out to Sonos for always thinking about us here at Dream Media and allowing us to beta test your products. We are very grateful and appreciate what Sonos has to offer. We still utilize Sonos throughout this entire home from a software standpoint.
Yeah.
We've eliminated a lot of their speakers because they are more entry level. I still am utilizing Sonos speakers in some other areas throughout this home, such as my primary bedroom has a full 5.2.2 Dolby Atmos system, a wireless Sonos system. We have the ARC in front. I have two subs next to the nightstands, and then I have two in-wall Era 100s, or the SL, were the old models, from these small little portable speakers from Sonos that you can pair together with the ARC, and we are utilizing their fruition designs in wall and ceiling enclosures to house those inside of the wall, because I didn't have any wiring besides distributed audio speakers for that room.
Yeah.
Now we do have in the ceiling some focal speakers that are independent for just whole house audio that can be paired together with the Sonos ARC subs and in-wall speakers. So where I'm going with this is music is very important. Sonos, although great, is not the most high-end option, but their control, their UI, and their software is still amazing.
Yeah, what you needed for your master, it's doing a great job. It's a very controllable space as is, and the amount of time that you're looking for an audiophile cinematic experience, that's what your movie theater's for.
Yeah.
So it's a great immersive experience because honestly, once you get used to listening to content surround, it's kind of hard. It's really hard to go back to a stereo system. It feels empty, and that's a way that we were able to make his bedroom still immersive, but without having to go through a whole renovation of the house to make the master bedroom work for you.
Exactly. I didn't want to go tearing up our brand new house, and the builder, this probably happens with a lot of you guys, the builder didn't allow me to come in and run my own wiring, unfortunately, or I would have.
And that was probably our biggest obstacle.
It was a big one.
At every point of this, basically in technology renovation.
Yeah, we're going to be working with builders, all of the high-end builders up here in Colorado, to elevate the level of expectation. They just aren't really educated on the appropriate wiring that needs to be put into place. And I've talked with several builders since on, how we're going to up the game here, but it is a common problem. Home builders, even though this is a wonderful builder who did this house, the finishing is great from a construction standpoint, but they just don't know about AV. And that's where we come in, guys, from day one, even before
Ground
day
level,
one.
get us in.
Get us in on the design phase.
Don't let the builder tell you to worry about AV later.
Yeah.
We need to be there right after electric's being run, while plumbing's going, navigating some of these issues and future-proofing your house so that you don't move in and you're already looking at a renovation to get the audio system you want.
Exactly. It's a little bit frustrating, and some builders don't allow it, unfortunately, but if you're building a custom home and they allow you to get in on the ground level, we want to get in when you're talking with architects.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking that early, guys. If we don't get in that early, on this home, if I would have come in that early, they probably would have allowed me to do it. And I would have had a killer system.
It is still pretty cool.
I'll say though, it has been really fun to show what a lot of Americans struggle with, which is not having the wiring.
Yeah, this is like a test lab for what is possible without major renovation.
Yeah.
I mean, this room speaks for itself. We just retrofitted 4 subwoofers into this room off of an old cable run.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And the only reason we were able to do that is because, we every single day are in unique situations and having to think on the fly. How do we convert this to this to that? And luckily it just popped into my head. I was like, oh, we used to have the cable box up here, which means it has an RG6 cable. But now, whenever we went ahead and got moved the Sonos Arc, I didn't get rid of it. We moved the Sonos Arc up to the guest room, and when we did that, we had the Apple TV and the cable box just Velcroed behind the TV. Now we've put it in our AV rack, and we're using a Balun over Cat 6 to convert the signal via Cat 6 to HDMI. So there's 2 HDMIs, one coming out of the AVR, the Marriott Cinema 30, and then another one going into our QLED Samsung up here. And in between is nothing but a Cat 6 cable. So that meant that the RG6 cable was free.
Yeah.
And typically, you don't think of an RG6 cable for subwoofers. When we do new construction homes, we run RG6 for subwoofers, but we also use it for cable boxes, antennas, things like that.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, initially, before I realized that we had that RG6, was to throw a wireless sub kit on it. And that could be a solution. We have wireless sub kits, but if at all possible, you always want to hardwire.
Always hardwire. Yep.
So we did the extra hard work to hardwire it in and show you guys how to do it properly. So let me back up a little bit. I had a Sonos Arc. I had a Sonos subwoofer. What did it sound like? Did you ever hear it?
Yeah, I mean, if all you're looking to do is hear audio, it did accomplish that.
It did get the job done.
This room is huge for an Arc and a wireless sub to tackle, honestly. You have very high audio expectations.
Yep.
We couldn't stay that way. So we kind of had to throw everything we could at the walls and get the most optimal system we could in here. And obviously, almost no space is ideal unless it is
a perfect
designed
rectangular
from day
shaped
one.
box.
Yeah, and it's specifically, this is what the only thing we're using the room for, and we're in on day one. You could get that perfectly optimal room, but this is reality.
This is reality.
Yeah, and we work with non-optimal situations every day, and that's our job, is to get you as close as we can to that super audiophile experience, and I think we did a great job here. We didn't really impede, you could say these subwoofers, you see this one over here when you're walking through the space, but to get you this media room, we didn't ruin the open concept, ruin the open floor plan. You know, Zach's got his kid over here doing something. Maybe his wife's in the kitchen. Maybe he's taking a meeting here at the dining table. We didn't impede on your ability to live in the space.
Yeah, and I actually want to talk more about the way that you can code the amp processor, zone control, and the ability to use multi-room open concept spaces like this at the same time, because I have been running into situations now where, you know, my son wants to watch Cocomelon or something that's just horrendous. I can't, I just am like, after about 15 minutes, want to blow my brains out. And also making daddy happy and mommy happy while she's cooking. So I'll get into some of those situations later on in the video, but let's get back to the upgrade path. So I went from the Sonos Arc, which did fill the room, but it was really just harsh, and the sub was turned up as high as it would possibly go and just sounded like a
muddy response.
Yeah, it was just kind of flapping mid-range, not great response. I mean, it helped. It was better than not having a sub. Those wireless subs are great for what they are. There's a reason I do have two in the primary, and that's because they're...
Any single subwoofer in this space would be stressing so hard to pressurize this room that you're gonna lose that articulation and
the
clarity.
Tight, accurate bass, which is what I love. So it ended up just really getting on my nerves, and I made this room a priority because we've been here a couple years and it's just been bothering me. So the Sonos Arc, although it filled the space, when we wanted to actually hear something like Cocomelon at dinner time, it was really loud. I'm talking 80% just to hear it. So then like if anybody was in this room, they felt like they were getting like blasted. Like it was painful to listen to the audio because it was turned up so loud, especially when my wife turned on that vent hood. We talk about the noise floor a lot whenever we're talking about specifically like home cinema design for high-end builds. Like we want our noise floor to be as low as possible to where it's just dead. Like a lot of people will think of a really well-built theater. I've had a customer, several customers say they've used it for other purposes because of how deadened we can get some of those rooms. I've heard that they've used it for prayer rooms. I've heard it for meditating. I've heard it, you know, just getting together for family time, relaxing. One of my customers says he'll go in there and take a nap to get away.
It is relaxing to be in an acoustically isolated room.
Yeah,
it's a different experience.
So the noise floor in this room dramatically changes throughout the day. Whether that vent hood, which is massive back there, when it gets cranking, you know, we're talking about a 10-15 dB bump just to hear the audio. When my kiddo is home, he doesn't stop talking and screaming and running around, so he's part of our noise floor.
Mobile too.
Yeah, he's mobile. He's one of those variable factors. But it's a variety of different things, guys. Like I even have an ice maker whenever we have parties. You know, the normal fridge ice maker can't keep up, so I have that ice maker. You heard it the other day. You unplugged it.
I do forget to plug back in his ice maker rather often when I'm working on it.
Yeah, when he's calibrating the system, he wanted the noise floor lower, and that ice maker is just obnoxious. So there's so many different things. Air conditioners, refrigerators. A lot of people's fridges, mine's built in, so it's pretty isolated. But if you have a normal fridge that sits open and that condenser in the back is running, that can add to your noise floor. There's so many things that you need to take into account at the end of the day, right? So what we did is I wanted even dispersion, even distribution of the audio throughout the entire space in multi-channel stereo.
Yeah, all 65 feet of this room.
Yeah, that was my major goal because that old Sonos Arc was just being stressed so hard and we were putting it up so loud, it was just giving me a headache most days. My primary goal was just even, clean dispersion throughout the entire room.
Yeah, without hurting your ears, without
at low levels.
Listeners
I'm talking 40, you know, to 60 dB. you know, even lower. I mean, sometimes I have the system on and it's just barely playing.
Yeah, and it's
10, 15 dB, and you can still hear every single word.
Yeah, we were able to tackle that with our great friends at RBH because their speakers have such good response across the entire dynamic spectrum and how well they're able to pressurize the room. So we went with the SI815Rs and RLs, which are the angled version. But we have 8-inch woofers spread out throughout the entire space. And that allows us to not have to crank your system to be able to experience the audio. Because otherwise, like you said, even if we were just running a 5.1 or something in this space for music, and that hood vent's on and you're in the kitchen trying to listen to music, you're blowing back whoever's sitting where we are now.
Oh, horrible. And that was a serious problem. So now with these RBH speakers, they have not only those 8-inch woofers, but those AMT tweeters that
So clear.
I've just fallen in love with, guys. You know, I visited my friend Gene down from Audioholics down in Tampa, and that was when I first heard RBH speakers, and he's always been a fan. He's a true audiophile. I'm talking, he measures everything. He does the bench test reports. Like, he is really scientific with his reviews. And whenever he personally had RBH in his theater, I was like, well, I need to take note. I mean, there's a reason he's chosen. He can get any speaker in the world he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an OG in
I've
the
been
industry.
a huge Ribbon fan for, since like the second year I got into audio. And what's so impressive about these is when it is time to sit here and immerse yourself in that cinematic experience where the sound is just encapsulating you, they don't get harsh.
At high dB output.
Yeah, because typically the most ribbons I've heard, when you really start pushing them, they get really bright, really tinny sounding.
Yes.
They're harsh, they bother, you start,
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get a lot. When you get into that 100 to 130 dB output, that's exactly what I've experienced, is that harsh, like, oh, I don't want to hear it anymore. It's hurting me.
And they maintain that clarity. No
Listening
matter the
fatigue
SPL.
is what you typically get.
Oh man, we sat in here for an hour or two the other day testing the room.
Like stupid high output. Stupid high output.
And I'm pretty particular about ear fatigue, and we walked away just fine, kept carrying on listening to music the rest of the day,
Yep. That's the key, guys, is quality of audio, high performance quality audio. So when we got rid of the Sonos system, that was my main goal. We started out initially with the 8400 sound bar.
Straight out of the Cinema 30 from the rack.
Straight out of the Cinema 30. Cinema 30 is a great all-in-one AVR, has nice, clean processing, okay amplification, for speakers that aren't quite as demanding as RBH. But we did quickly feel that 8400 was a little anemic.
Yeah, especially with all these 8-inch woofers flanking the space, you really need that center channel to perform well.
You want a very, very dynamic front sound stage. So I immediately threw an audio control Pantages G4, which I had here in the house, on my bed layer. So the soundbar now has its own dedicated Class H amplification from Audio Control, which is very efficient, very clean, and it dramatically changed the performance of the speakers.
The results were better response from the whole bass layer, but specifically, we're not having to turn up the system louder to get audio dialogue now.
Clear.
We're getting full spectrum, fat center channel sound that's not anemic like it was before, where you're sitting here and you're like, man, it's just a little thin, right?
It was a little disappointing, and I have heard so many RBH systems recently that I was a little disappointed.
Yeah.
So what I'll be recommending for customers is RBH Unrivaled amps for any RBH system with a processor.
They're really built to go together from the factory. So if you're looking for the most out of your investment in RBH speakers, invest in their amplifiers as well.
Agreed. So we had the 8400 initially put in, and then quickly installed the 815s, the R and the RLs.
Yeah.
We did the RLs in the front Atmos because if we were to fire straight in, we would get pretty bad reflection off of the fireplace, the
you can't see
TV, the
them.
windows.
But the angle from our listening area is like this. So if they were shooting straight down, we're only really listening to side and reflection.
It would sound horrible.
Yeah, and then they'd be hitting in front of the couch. And then who knows where that sound's going. Whereas,
It's just reverbing before it even hits your ear.
yeah, whereas now we are in line with where the tweeters are focused. Same thing goes for our rears firing back at us.
Yeah, it's really important that you select very specific speakers for every single room. And I can't put enough emphasis on this, guys. This is why I have created the free video consultation. Video consultation. It's because here at Dream Media, we have a very, very, very low return rate. And there's a reason. It's because we hand curate our packages specific to every single homeowner's room.
Yeah, I'll sit on plans. Hey, are you done designing my theory yet? Just give me I'm really just trying to dial this in. We take our time with every room, making sure that, even if you came to us looking for a specific speaker or something, yeah, of course we could do that. But we want you to get the most out of not only your investment, but what is the space for? Which is why we chose RBH for this room.
I think what you're trying to say is you can count on us to be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
So maybe you see a speaker like this 8400 and you're like, oh, that's sweet. I want that. Well, we'll consider that speaker, but we want to step back and look at it from a holistic point of view. How are we going to get the absolute most out of your budget for your room and maximize the performance?
Yeah, hit your expectations.
Yep. So that 8400, now that we have the additional amplification on it, and then we got our RLs pointing inward, directionally pointed straight towards our target listening area. We have the 815Rs here, and then the RLs in the back. All of the audio is directed right towards our target listening area. And that specific equipment selection and that specific model being in place helps us from a calibration standpoint. So I can't put enough emphasis on that, guys. Reach out, use the free consultation. We will sit down. It's more than a consult, guys. We go into design services, and we do have a Dream Media Plus program. I'll show some examples on the screen right now where we literally in depth will mark out entire homes inside and out from square one. We have a retainer that you pay in order for us to get involved that goes towards the cost of your purchase, but it allows us to go above and beyond and laying out exactly where every single wire in the home goes, whether it's new construction or retrofit, and creating an entire scope of every technology piece in your home.
And it even goes beyond just informing the customer what we're doing. These layouts are integral for builders, architects, designers, people project managing.
Yes.
To know exactly, where every speaker is going, where every wire is going beforehand, eliminating some problems that we'll run into with an unspecified bid where you just say there's 4 speakers in this room.
Yeah,
good luck.
And then when you go to cut the hole and there's a gas line or a water line in your way, you're like, oh my God. And then that, who suffers? The client. The customer suffers because they have to pay more. There's more heartache. There's more, they're having to leave their home so we can work on it. Like if you just get with us early, guys, it really changes your outcome. We're trying to deliver a seamless experience with white glove service, and our design services encompass all of that. So feel free to reach out and ask about our Dream Media Plus program. So all of those very specific speakers were chosen for a reason. Now, the next phase was going to be bass. What do I do with bass? We got a lot of killer manufacturers that we represent and offer nationally. And
we have a couple featured throughout other parts of this home as well.
Yeah, like I got 2 SVS PB16 Ultras up in the movie room right now. And when it comes to bang for your buck for a floor standing, your normal subwoofer that just sits on the ground, SVS is really hard to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, I love SVS subwoofers, bang for the buck. But I didn't want to put, this is a formal living room is what we call this.
Yeah, we're not trying to block anything off, and pretty much any, you know, not to come after any brands or anything, but pretty much any floor standing sub by any manufacturer would have gotten into the way with how this room functions day to day in your life.
Yeah, like I did consider the brand new Perlison D215s, or even their single 15 that they just came out with. That's only $5,000 because I heard it at, what was it, the Florida Audio Show. We exhibited with 2 of them, and man, they banged, but they also, you know, take up floor space.
It wasn't right for this space. It's a great speaker, but we were specifically looking for a subwoofer that would not only meet your audiophile needs as a bass head, but leave your wife happy and not take away
that was the big one
from the environment. Where, it is.
And it is the big one for most of you guys. All my dudes out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Otherwise, we'd have 21s in every place.
We'd have 21 taken from the ceiling. Shout out to Brian down in Tampa. He's got those dual 21s right.
Yes.
You can only do that if you're a bachelor. All of us guys that got the old ball and chain, we need to be considerate. And that's what we did here. I mean, I think it was a good compromise. I mean, honestly, my wife's a sweetheart, and I'm just
We got the approval, though.
I'm so blessed that she allows all this. And to be totally honest, she doesn't really say it, but the times where we've been in transition between homes, she always misses it.
Yeah.
She misses the experience when it's not there.
She wasn't happy when I started.
But now she's happy.
Yes, now that we're done with the project. There was some abrasiveness when the sub showed up and was sitting in the living room.
She's like, those are just for an unboxing, right? I'm like, no, those are going in.
They're living here.
And then the 8400, to be honest again, guys, I have a smaller model down in the garage, but I went ahead and threw this one up just to see if it could stay. And I think she's gotten used to it.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. We'll still unbox the other one to show you guys a more slimmer, thinner version, kind of more comparable to like the Sonos Arc that was up there, if you don't want those big drivers in your face. But me as an audiophile and a home theater fanatic, I love seeing the drivers. All these speakers do have magnetic grills that go on them, but I'm leaving them off for demonstration purposes. And maybe at the end of this video, we could show the grills going on and off.
Oh yeah.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love speakers. I want to look at them.
Yeah.
I want to look at them.
That's what we do for a living. Even up in the movie room, I have all those flax woofers showing on the Focal 300 and the 302 series.
Yeah.
Personal preference, but all these speakers do have grills. So the next phase was going to be getting deep bass in this room, and I knew that on walls were really my only option. I considered putting them up in the front corners here, corner loading them, but aesthetically,
again, it would take away from the room.
Aesthetically, it looked kind of rough. So we opted to put them in a semi-conducive space. They're kind of corner loaded. They're up there closer to the front of the room, but I have them aesthetically centered over these giant windows so that it doesn't look out of place.
No.
These ones over here, you can't even see this sub, and this sub over here, because the baseboards are thick, they're sticking off an inch.
Really just from the kitchen. If
Just
you're in
from
the
the
kitchen
kitchen.
looking back this way, you do see that subwoofer, but
But it's 5.5 inches in total depth.
5.2.
And a quarter?
Yeah.
Oh, 5.25 in depth, and it doesn't block the walkway. I think it's the big thing. We can still vacuum. It's up off the floor, and it doesn't block the walkway. That was the big concern, was if we put a massive 21, one of those 15-inch, it's gonna take up that whole corner over here. And also it wouldn't have the same dispersion. I couldn't put a freestanding subwoofer anywhere else in this room. There is no space other than right there to put a sub, and that's where that little dinky Sonos sub was initially. And what happens when you only have one sub is subwoofers are omnidirectional, meaning, you know, it's not line of sight directional like high frequency audio, which is wonderful, but the infrasonics are going to be heavier dependent on how close you are to that subwoofer.
Yeah.
So by spreading them out to the far sides of each room and somewhat corner loading them, we're getting very even bass response throughout the entire space up until we get to the kitchen, which is why I think I'm gonna have to do a little upgrade back there.
But I do remember before that, the seat up here on the front left was a very underwhelming bass experience before.
Correct.
Whereas this seat was hot.
Very
a lot
hot.
of bass.
Very hot.
Yeah.
And very muddy bass too. With
Very
the
muddy
Sonos
because
sub.
we were pushing that sub. We were testing it.
I don't know how it didn't blow out, honestly.
No, exactly.
Good job, Sonos.
Something cool with these 1212 SWs from RBH is with how low profile they are, and they're specifically designed to be left with or without the grill. Leaving the grill off added a lot of space. You know, I think it's
half an inch or an inch. Yeah.
I think it's around an inch almost. That it would have brought the speaker further into the room. And that might have impeded the way the space functioned a little more, like from a everyday life.
It still wouldn't have been bad, but 5 1/4 is thin. And I think a lot of you guys may get wife approval to put speakers like this in your formal, but I think primarily we're gonna sell most of these for Trinov's new waveforming technology.
Yeah.
So for all my dedicated home cinema lovers out there, maybe we'll make a separate video discussing why these are good for Trinov waveforming, but essentially we can just bolt these front and back of the room. We'll get into more videos down the road as Trinov waveforming becomes more and more popular. Here at CEDIA, we're gonna be demonstrating that with the team from John and the team from Trinov. So looking forward to hearing where they're at with the waveforming, because it is new this year, but I do feel that on-wall subs are gonna be huge as more and more subs are introduced and the Trinov waveforming becomes more and more accepted and more standard in our home cinema build. It was like back in the day, 1 subwoofer was your norm. Then it became 2. You want 1 front and back for better dispersion. Now, even my Marantz Cinema 30, the Marantz Cinema 40 that's upstairs, they all have bass control for 4 independent subwoofers and tactile bass response, so that you're no longer just sending LFE signal out in general. You can allocate subwoofers to certain positions in your room so that the bass fires accurately dependent on the effect in that scene. So like if an explosion goes off back here, why would you hear bass up here?
Exactly.
You shouldn't, right? So like that's where high-end home cinema is going, is that really accurate bass, all frequency response,
all
really.
placement, yeah.
Yeah. So the subwoofers have really elevated the experience in this room, and we, like Chase had mentioned earlier, we ended up using a coaxial line that was being used for the cable box to convert to XLR and retroed in an unrivaled amplifier from RBH down here, put in a fan kit to dissipate the heat and a temperature sensor to ensure the unrivaled amp operates and functions long term, as well as we put a big dog surge protector on it to keep everything protected and functioning long term. What else do we have down there? We have
ventilation, just to make sure the amp, big dog power supply, are never getting too hot. And honestly, the way we have that staged, it doesn't draw my eyes away from the room like some ventilation.
I can't see it at all from where I'm sitting.
No. And I mean, I put it in, so of course I know exactly what it is. Well, I'm staring at it. I don't think it's something when your guests are walking around, they're gonna be like, oh, what's this big boxy fan? No, you know, we have that thermostat hooked up right to the exhaust of that RBH amp, really focusing on keeping that amp at an optimal temperature. And now it's something he doesn't have to worry about. If he wants to run those subs for 8 hours, we don't have to worry, is the amp getting hot?
And to be honest with you guys, I run these subs pretty much all day long.
Yeah.
Even at night, I leave this entire zone on at like, 8%. So it's just nice little background music. And then when I come down in the morning, I bump it up to about 15, 20%.
I think you were in a meeting, but But Wilder was telling your wife, like, it bumps like mommy's car now.
That's awesome.
They do have a sub in the car, so yeah.
We do have subs in all the vehicles. Yes, you gotta have the low frequency bass. It's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't say enough about the audio performance in this room. So now let's talk a little bit about the audio and the video performance in a movie watching scenario. So I have a Samsung 75-inch QLED up there, which I've been just a huge fan of quantum dot QLED TVs for spaces like this for years.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love OLEDs, guys. I know somebody up is already typing in the comments, QLEDs suck, OLEDs for life. I love OLEDs too. And Samsung has released, and we brought one to the Florida Audio Expo,
Very exciting.
a OLED that has anti-glare built in.
Yeah.
That was not out when I picked this TV, but I do think that's gonna be a game changer. And it looked good at the Florida Audio Expo. We set it up in our home theater space with the Kaleidoscape movie player, and it performed exceptionally well.
Something I love about that line is I feel like the way we're going with TVs, that brands are changing the way the image should look to make content pop, to kind of draw people in. And they're not doing that. It is a true image.
Yeah, it's accurate.
They're not
So I
bumping
think what you're saying is like something I struggle with upstairs in the movie room at the Epson LS800. It has a few modes that I would consider blown out, like
Exactly.
oversaturated,
Yeah. Oversaturated,
super like vibrant and poppy. And I think that's what kind of captures a lot of people initially when you're looking at these and making a buying decision. But we don't want our image to be oversaturated, overexposed. We want it to be really rich, super high contrast, very vivid still, rich in color, great spectral highlights. We want our image to look natural.
Like we talk about this audio a lot, but like a neutral response that's not adding or taking away from what the director or audio engineer or videographer intended.
And really, that's a tough thing to manage these days, guys, especially with the introduction of HDR, HDR10, Dolby Vision. These formats can be great if they're set up appropriately. And as we get into discussions with our home cinema, that's why we've made so many videos about projection and HDR and how to set up your projector properly, because it can be a real challenge. But QLED TVs, OLED TVs with the anti-glare, all great options for spaces like this that are receiving immense natural light. I mean, in the mornings and in the afternoons, this TV is receiving almost direct sunlight, but extreme glare.
From all four corners. You know,
the whole room's glass, yeah, other than this little area back there isn't glass, but besides that, the whole room's glass. So it's a challenge, but it's super bright, super vibrant, and most of the time I'm viewing from here, which is about 20 feet back. So or further, all the way back to about 40 feet back. Most of the time we're sitting at that bar right there. While my wife's cooking, I'm sitting with my son watching Coco Melon or Bluey or one of those kids shows. Now he's into the Hot Wheels, which I'm like, yes. We're getting past Coco Melon.
So, if you were up maybe at those front seats, which you and your family never sit in.
This is what my wife calls conversation seating. Yeah. So I would like to address that right now. I'm sure there's already a bunch of comments down below of people saying, TV's too high.
Yeah.
You guys are idiots.
We could have done a mantle mount.
We do offer mantle mounts.
But for your use of this room, audio first.
Audio first, and I'm never gonna utilize a mantle mount because when people are sitting in these front seats, it's for conversation seating only.
They're facing each other, not the TV anyway.
They're here to talk with background music, not watch the TV. And sometimes what we'll do when we have large gatherings of 10 to 20 people is I'll have a football game, basketball game, hockey game going on the TVs throughout the entire home, and then I'll have like Hooked on a Feeling, Mr. Blue Sky, some good tunes, tunes going in the background throughout the entire home at a low level, at a low dB output, so everybody can carry on a conversation, have some good vibes going, but also for my sports fanatics, have the game going.
Yeah, and what's really cool about this space long term is, like, let's say we are watching the NFL on a Sunday here, and you've got 15, 20 guests in this area. They can see the TV fine.
Yep.
As opposed to the TV being pretty low in this space and everyone standing up, walking around, having a good time, blocking the TV image.
You're right.
It's not the focus of this space.
Agreed. And whenever the girls are sitting here talking, most of the time it's the ladies always get together right here and they're just chatting. All the kids are running around trying to bust their head open on all the sharp objects around there. But as the ladies are chatting and the kids are running around, it's just perfect because they're at the very, very close seats. The audio's still coming in clear. They don't care about the game. They're just chatting amongst each other, but they have that nice background music going, and the guys are all back there drinking and screaming. It's the perfect setup. So one thing that we've been doing here recently with my son is I put on overhead for this room and into the kitchen where he sits at the bar, his show, so that he can, watch whatever he wants. We give him the URC panel that's on a guided access, so he can just hit Disney Junior or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll be helping my wife either cook or probably still taking phone calls or whatever, or maybe I'll decompress on the back patio for a minute while she's doing dinner, and I can put on, there's an additional 2 speakers up there at the very rear of the room. I can put those 2 speakers on in my patio zone. Say I'm grilling. That's actually a great application. I'm grilling a lot. So, Big griller. So I'll be grilling back there, or maybe even getting the hot tub ready. We have a nice entertainment space back there. I'll put on my own jams in the backyard, and I have a whole distributed audio system throughout the backyard with multi-zone. But I'll put on those zones. I'll put on the kitchen speakers, and I have my own little area to listen to good tunes while he's still happy listening to his kids' program, whatever it is that day. Additionally, when my wife does sear stuff, she'll be throwing on like a big roast or something. She'll sear it, and the vent hood has to be on full blast. I have a program to where those speakers in the rear of the room, paired with this 5.4.4 system, I can independently control the 2 speakers at the rear of the room, separate from this 5.4.4. So what I'll do is just give a 10 dB bump on those 2 speakers there at the rear of the room. When she's using the vent hood goes off, I turn it back to the previous preset, and then we'll sit down and have dinner.
And that's just that next step, as opposed to installing speakers, plugging them into an amp, and good day, Zach, good luck with your life. We've really gone through, and especially with outdoor, when that video drops for the outdoor area,
outdoor system's sweet.
Yeah, we've taken attention so that if someone is watching TV, whether it's here or on the patio, and there's other things happening, the house is still livable and no one's really getting in each other's way.
Yeah.
That's something I really like. If the little guy's sitting here watching his TV show and we've got the music here, well, we've got the speakers in the kitchen separated, and we've paid attention and really took our time tuning the space so that we're not interfering too much. Yeah, of course you're paying attention, you can hear the music back there, but it's not really getting in the way of your casual TV experience.
A little bit. It's actually really impressive how even in an open concept space, you can divide out the audio.
Yeah.
I think the patio, when that video comes out, you guys will have to check it out.
That's a great example.
That is an incredible
I'm trying to do that at my house now. It is so cool that the TV has clean dialogue and a clean image, and it doesn't affect you grilling or people sitting at the fireplace.
Or the hot tub.
And because of where your walkway is, when you travel the walkway, you're never out of the experience.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I would say my goal for going forward for every homeowner, if possible, and why we're trying to make these long format informative videos, because there's so many things to consider. And it can be overwhelming for you guys. So I figured by making these videos, you can sit down and we've already done all the learning for you. Yeah. So like out there on the patio, we have a sound bar that's completely separate from the rest of the system. It can be paired in, but we have it to where it's just high frequency primarily, high frequency and mid-range, just directed right at the couch. And whenever you can hear, even at like 13% volume,
Oh, yeah.
very low levels, you can hear every single word from the TV, but then I can be jamming out throughout the rest of the backyard.
Whereas before, we really dug into that. If there was a lot of activity on the back porch, everybody's fighting each other.
Yeah.
Fighting for volume
Yep.
controls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's just that next
And then
step.
I ended up just getting, like literally getting a headache from that.
You do,
because
yeah.
my wife, to make my son happy, you know, he's our baby, we love him. We turn on the TV built-in speakers, which are firing at the ground to 100%.
Yeah.
100%, and it is horrible. Like, talk about listening fatigue, and especially when it's like a kid's show. You're just like, oh my god, harsh.
It's making me cringe thinking about it.
Yeah, I literally am starting. I can feel a headache coming on just thinking about how bad it was. So now it's actually enjoyable.
Now you don't have to think about it. We took that next step and really dialed the space in, and now you can just live with it. You sit at your grill, you're not worried about what the little guy's doing on the outdoor terrace with his soundbar. He can turn that up, turn that down, get that where he's situated, and nobody's fighting over the space in the house anymore. Because that's something, you know, when you guys are all in the same area at the same time, maybe you're not doing the same thing.
We almost never are.
No, and it allows you to be together more.
We're
without
still
getting in each
together.
other's way.
Yeah, we're still
cool.
together. We're still bonding as a family. And, you know, we had another application where me, my wife, and son sat down and watched Ghostbusters back there. But the in-laws wanted to sunbathe. So they sat over by the fire pit and we turned on nothing but the landscape system with the rock speakers from Focal out there, the OD8s, and they listened to you know, some classic rock, got some sun, and we sat under the shade, under the patio, and watched Ghostbusters under the covers.
Not even 30 feet away, and with the speakers still coming behind your TV area.
Pretty cool.
To have that, you know, dialed in.
Yeah,
just
so we
right.
were still like talking to them a little bit while they were sitting over there. We're like, you know, having a little conversation. We're all still together as a family, but we're doing different activities. It's really cool.
It is.
I'm really starting to enjoy this
It's something
home.
you have to experience too, because now I walk around my house and I'm like, oh man, oh man.
Sorry, Chase. You're gonna have to buy more speakers, man. So yeah, we've really dove into now the audio and video, smart home, how everything comes together. You know, with this being set up as a surround sound system, now you're hearing your dialogue specifically when I have it in Dolby Atmos mode out of your center speaker. You're hearing overhead effects specifically coming from above. Like when we did that Ready Player One demo and he's going through like the kind of the lower level of the, he's in the race scene, he's on the lower level there, kind of close to the end where he's below King Kong.
Yeah.
You feel King Kong moving through accurately on this side of the room where he is in the frame, and then you hear the car like spin off in the distance up behind you and around you. It's very immersive.
You know, and I have a full surround in my media room, but I kept wanting to. It's like one of the biggest images I've sat in a while. It felt like we were sitting in a commercial movie theater in the middle with the theater alone.
Yeah.
And it's just this huge, vast image that's being pressurized.
And it was really cool to see my buddy literally jerking his head around. Yeah, I had a friend over with his kids and he was just jerking his head around left and right. Like he literally asked me, like, where is all this audio coming from? And I'm like, dude, there's speakers everywhere. Like, this didn't happen on its own. So a lot to consider, guys. The last aspect that I think is very important to quality of life, again, I want to point out, and I say this to all my customers, none of these items are required. You don't need any of this stuff, guys. These are all toys. So like, you know, people call and they're like, what don't I need in my home? I'm like, you don't need any. You don't need any of this stuff. No. Nothing that I've recommended do you need. But do you want it? Yes. You really want these features. Yeah. So the next step is kind of getting into more automation. And I think this is where Chase can really dive deep on different ways that we've been able to set up this home with URC, Universal Remote Control, their total control system, which operates every single component that we just discussed through either a mobile app or through a touch panel like this. So this is the 9100 tabletop desktop unit. I can't say enough about this thing. Sometimes I just don't want to grab my phone because I know there's going to be so many notifications, I'm probably going to get sidetracked. So in the evening hours, I exclusively use all of the touch panels and all the physical remotes around the house because I love my family time and try to put the phone down. So with this guy here, I can independently control all of the various devices in the room by just manually selecting it, going in and hitting a button, or I can go in and run automated scenes.
Yeah, and you get your whole, you know, since this touchpad lives here, it's set for this open area formal room, but Zach is easily able to switch the room to the patio, take this outside.
And I do.
Take this into his office. He can keep a tab on what the little one's doing in his room. He's able to sync content.
It's a floater.
Yeah.
I call this my floater. It actually, the base station charges right there in the kitchen, and my wife religiously uses this now because if anybody comes to the front door, pops right up here on the screen. She wants to change any of the lights, it's right there on the screen.
Yeah.
Lower a shade, right there on the screen. Every single aspect of our home control, it's right there on the screen.
And what's really cool is everyone has their favorite parts of the home. Maybe not the little one yet, that would go crazy, but at least you and your wife have your daily uses programmed into these apps. Commands that you use that she doesn't use, and vice versa. Like, so back there right by the stove is where this guy docks. From right there, hands-free, able to see who's at the Ring doorbell. Can also get Zach out of his office with your dinner page thing.
Yeah, she can.
Yeah, it rings bells.
And she
through
does.
The speakers, yeah, and basically announces, okay, everyone, glad you're all having fun. It's dinner time, get downstairs. We also, you know, if you're here and decide to listen to music and open up your, start routing Sonos to this room, the whole area becomes a big multi-channel stereo space.
That's what I forgot earlier in the video. Yes, it is a Dolby Atmos configuration, but in many cases, it's being utilized as multi-channel stereo.
More so than, I'd say more often
More
than not.
often
More
than
use,
not.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when video content is selected, we're in that surround experience.
Exactly. So what does that mean, guys? What I described earlier, movie watching, immersive audio, separate effects going through every single speaker in the room is super cool, but you don't always need that, right? Sometimes you just want nice dispersion for like listening to music, especially if it's not a spatial audio track. Why do you really need it in Dolby, right? You just want it to fill the room. So in multi-channel stereo, it means what it says. It's putting stereo audio through every single speaker in the room, filling the room full.
And that keeps,
and even.
You know, and as we addressed earlier with your Sonos Arc, it kind of gets rid of that issue. Otherwise, you'd just be blasting the 8400 soundbar to reach the kitchen. Whereas now we have a comfortable listening environment at low levels throughout the entire space that's enjoyable and not taking away from anyone else's home experience when you're trying to jam, which Zach is always jam. I don't think I've ever walked in here and not heard the distributed audio system.
The only
running.
time we're not jamming is when we're filming. For copyright reasons.
His welcome home command, when he hits 50 meters out from his house,
it's already on.
Yeah, the lights fade on, the shades go up, and his Sonos favorite Sonos playlist starts running through this entire main level area that encompasses his dojo.
It's a vibe.
Office from the workspace.
It's a vibe. You gotta have the music bumping.
And it is nice to wake up to a home that wakes up to you.
Yeah.
And it's just ready to go. It kind of
gets you going. Gets you, yeah, exactly. I start out every morning with green juice and stretching, and by the time I'm done with the green juice and stretching, I've been listening to my music, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. And it's cool. So in this space, we've got...
Maybe we bring them up close on this one and actually show the controller.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna be huge, guys. Us automating these homes over going forward is our goal. From start to finish, not only high performance audio and video, but a lot of homeowners just want their home to function effortlessly and an easy way to control it. Up here in Colorado, you just sold over in Vail a $30,000 system that doesn't even have any audio video in it.
No.
It's just helping the homeowner with control.
What I think is, you know, coolest about these are like a lot of the things that we put in here are toys. They're wow purchases, right? And then they become a part of your daily life. And they start to lose their luster because that kind of becomes your standard of life. Whereas with this automation backbone system, the home's never done. Zach can call me at any point and say, I've dreamed up this crazy automation scene.
And that's the magic.
And we can make that happen. So anything gets stale, or as you notice, oh, I wish the house did this. Well, because we've set the home up right, we can. It's just a matter of getting someone out here to make that a reality.
So I'm gonna bring you guys up close. We just have the cameras on tripods. We've been sitting here just trying to do long format, educational, informative videos for you guys, because we've had a lot of requests for like, show me more, tell me more, you know, get into the nitty gritty. So if you feel like we've missed anything in this breakdown, drop it in the comments down below. If you're liking the video, also show us some love. Give us some motivation, guys. Give us thumbs up, comments down below, but we're gonna keep moving forward. I'm gonna grab the camera over here and bring you over so you can see this interface. This is my personal favorite physical controller from URC, and it actually accomplishes control over the entire house if I wanted to, but I keep it primarily tied to the formal, dining, kitchen, outdoors, and office. This main level that I live on. So let me grab this other camera, guys.
And what's cool is, while Zach tries to stay away from his phone as much as he's able to, this app reflects in his phone on his URC app about the same way, and he can access that from anywhere. If we're traveling, like we're gonna be at Cedia in a couple weeks here, Zach's gonna be able to look at what exactly is going on in his house, if he left anything on, which won't be the case because the home shuts off when he leaves. So currently right now we're looking at the Apple TV interface, but I'm gonna go ahead and kind of start us from scratch in the room here.
All right, so he's actually turned off everything with that one button press.
Yep.
That's nice, guys. You know, when you're done with the room, you just hit the power button and your TV turns off, AVR turns off, the cable box turns off. You could even have that macro run your lighting control and shades.
Oh yeah.
So simplicity is what we're going after here, guys. And keep in mind, we can also tie in voice control, which we're gonna be going over voice control in depth in upcoming videos. But go ahead and take it away here, Chase.
Yeah, so right here you can see front and center for this room, like every room, and this is just Zach's preference, we have entertainment. So if you click on that, it's a picture of his TV, and we can now pick source selection between Xfinity or Apple TV. Both are fully integrated with voice control through their native system. So when you open up the Apple TV, all right, so once we've got this display up here that looks just like the handheld Apple remote that comes with the Apple TV, we've got our display. It's probably hard to read there, but the AVR is in Dolby Surround because we clicked video content. So again, this experience is as seamless as it could be. It's, you know, just like opening up the Apple TV remote app on your phone. I've got my Siri deep dive integration here. Watch Netflix. And if Zach pans over, now we're on Netflix. You can, you know, anything that you would do with your Apple TV normally is accessible through the URC app here. You can go ahead, go back to main. We'll go ahead and take a look at cable. All right, and this looks exactly like a remote just laid out across a touchscreen interface, and we retain all of the same control as you would normally. We have the volume turned down just because we're chatting, but if you look down here in the lower left corner, I've got my volume up and volume mute, and what's really cool is they're not making me smack this volume up button 100 times. I hit it once, I get the slider. So you can probably hear that now. And right in front of me, one touch mute, right there between the volume up, volume down. Very intuitive control. I really like the sliders there. And then again, we've got our full Xfinity integration here, so I can bring up the guide, bring up the menu or anything, or I can just use the Xfinity Comcast built-in voice control. So we have full, you know, integration like you would with your typical Xfinity remote. You've got your favorite saved. You can record to your DVR, play, pause, rewind, fast forward, skip back to live TV if you rewind it because you missed something. You've got mic control, so you can hold that just like you would on your remote and prompt it with, watch NBC or whatever, or bring up the DVR menu. Anything that is possible on the Xfinity native cable box is accessible through this touchscreen interface. So now we've got nothing playing music-wise, but I love putting these now playings in a room because as soon as you open the app, let's say Zach was listening to music right now. If I hit now playing, it would bring up the Sonos deep dive with the track selection. But since we are on Xfinity, when I go ahead and hit now playing, it just brings me back to whatever we're currently controlling, whatever URC was last told the room should be doing, which is nice. We can go in here, activate our Sonos. Okay, and then since we get that deep dive, I've already got my track selection. I can go ahead, skip ahead. Oh man, this is a good song. I can go ahead and favorite it, shuffle, set a song to repeat, anything that you would have through those native apps. And now we've just eliminated solutions because all of a sudden you're talking, we just got rid of the Apple TV app. We got rid of the Samsung TV app to control just the Samsung. We've gotten rid of the Xfinity app, the Sonos app, 6, 7 interactions on his phone. All right here, and I barely have to move my hand to get to all these controls. Now something Zach loves is his party modes. He's a big music guy. So not only is there just a general party mode for the house, but he can choose, do I want to blow up every room on every floor in the house? Do I just want to do this main level that we're in now, which is where Zach's office is? So this is kind of his dojo from day to day. And we can also just isolate this main level with the outdoor audio setup, but not disturb the bedrooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what keeps happening right there, guys, is something that I've requested, is that if you don't make a selection quickly, then it just defaults to whatever's playing.
Yeah, and pulls you back to show you what you're controlling.
Yeah, I really like adding that functionality. And what's really cool with these URC systems and what sold me is their macros are deep. You can literally customize every single aspect. I mean, a prime example is hit the formal room button and show how you have actually put on pictures of every single room in my house. See the background, guys?
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about what room you're in. We just took a picture.
That's right here.
Yeah.
So when the in-laws are in town, or maybe a guest that's never been here to the house, it's super intuitive. So we'll go ahead and switch the room right
show
there.
all the rooms. I really love how we've done that.
So right here in my top left where it says formal, that's where I changed my room. So I click that, and now you can see, if you walk around this house,
you don't even have to really read the room name.
No, you just
can
look
see
at what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And you can see what's going on in every room. So you can see right now that in the primary bedroom, the Apple TV is currently running. So if there was music in the backyard, you'd see a little music link for Sonos there. And it's just right there. See Sonos formal room, because we were just doing that. So it also gives the homeowner an easy way, especially in the bigger homes. You got a couple kids running around. You can take a snapshot without having to walk around the entire space you see. Or maybe you're not in the primary anymore and you left that on. I'm not going to disturb anyone now, but you see that little power button up by the room there? Boom. You get a nice checkmark confirmation that room is off and no longer running.
I like too how you can control the volume to each room from that top button. I think that would be something cool to show. Like just go to the formal and see that little button. Yeah.
Right there. So from a snapshot, let's say I've got party mode running. So every one of these is lit up with Sonos. Instead of having to go front patio, get to the volume, up here in the left corner across from my power button, I can go ahead and either mute that space if we're trying to have a conversation,
or just adjust it quickly.
Yeah, just adjust it quickly.
And the ability to control all the rooms, like, because a lot of the time, guys, right now, I don't want to get hit with copyright, so I don't have any music going, because YouTube will flag it and not allow us to post. But if in a normal day, every room in my house, for the most part, the movie room pretty much stays isolated. I don't have that one running all day, but this whole level, the front patio, the formal, the kitchen, that's why they're all right next to each other. This is where I live.
It's seamless too. It's just one seamless user experience for the space.
Yeah, and the ability to quickly adjust volume on the fly is very valuable for me, because prior it was annoying to have to pull out all the apps and, you know, go to each one and adjust it. Even whenever previously to launching URC, I had Sonos everywhere, and I tried to get as many Sonos components as possible so it was all through one app. It was still not this easy.
Yeah, and what's cool about this is it's set to run as like a one-room area, aka the formal room as a whole, but he can go ahead and get specific. You know, have one thing in the kitchen, have one thing happening in this living room area, have another thing happening in the dining room.
And it shows you a visual of every single room and the different sources. That's what's so cool. Like he said, you know, the Apple TV is playing right now in the primary. How else would you know that unless you had a control system like this?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So I'll go ahead and go back to, so we're in the kitchen, so I'll go ahead and switch back to the formal, just because.
Let's show them the shading and lights.
Yeah, so right here we stopped at party mode. We've got our lighting control, which is Lutron in this home. And as you can see, that is what's available in the room we're sitting in right now currently. So he's got his cans, sconces. So we can go ahead and pick any room in the house and change the lighting that way. Right, very individual control, and something that's, you know, you'll get used to.
Go ahead and show one going up and down. Yeah, like do the chandelier.
So.
Yeah. So let's turn the chandelier off. Boom. Look how responsive it is.
Yeah, on the right side here, you have a toggle, which is on, off, and will go to whatever you have the light set for the programming to run at as a default. So I think this chandelier can go between 0 and 100. And we're, you know, it's pretty tactile and quick.
Yeah, it is, especially for a third-party driver.
Yeah,
Keep in mind, URC has in-house switches, but I opted to put URC to the test and use a bunch of third-party components such as Lutron.
Yeah, we really wanted to put URC through the works here and just make sure that everything we offer for integration works seamlessly with these systems.
Correct.
As it should.
Next thing would be shades.
Yeah, and just the last thing here is I was just going ahead and smacking this button here to get them to go on and off, but we can get finite control. Drag these down to around 20%. Get that nice dim light. Oh, it's too dark? Drag it right back up on a slider. And with these Lutron, we can get down to 1% dimming. It's super accurate. Now, yes, you can do Lutron lights and Lutron shades, but here we have Screen Innovation shades everywhere. And you wouldn't know the difference from the end user experience. So we just go ahead and open up our shade control. This one listed Tahoma is what Zach has chosen for a full home, all shades, all on. Yeah, so this reflects, but you can go in to the formal room.
And just control the formal shades.
Yeah, and see, I can get this micro control of every shade and scene individually, so you can see we have a whole main level scene.
Yeah, do the main level.
Okay.
So this is one that I use all the time. Like if I wanted to watch a movie right now and I wanted the best acoustical performance, I drop all the shades.
And I just think that URC does this shade integration super well.
Yeah. I like how
the user feedback is great. So right here,
sorry, I just wanted them to see these shades. I'm so
hem bar aligned, clean.
It's pretty sexy.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite features in the house, and
they're quiet.
It's not even audio video, but it is one of my favorite things.
It does help with our audio a ton. I mean, it really deadens the space.
They might even be able to tell. I mean, I can tell right now.
Oh,
I can
it
hear
got
it.
dead in here, yeah.
Yeah, you guys should be able to hear, and hopefully that proves what we were discussing earlier, which is the audio performance can be greatly improved with fabric shades like these.
So just now we had dove into the formal room and chose the all shade command, but right here from the front page of the shade integration, I can go ahead and just open up that whole room right from the front without diving in. You can also get into super detail with these shades. As soon as this GUI opens up, you see that? So it's down. I can
Oh, I didn't know you could do
Look how
that.
intuitive that is.
What?
Yeah, so if you want the shade half closed,
I
you just
love
drag
that.
it right there. You don't need, or while they're moving, you can hit open or close, and you can see it's moving right now. So it's checking in every couple seconds and updating that. But you can just hit close and then hit stop when you'd like, or you could drag it right to where you want that entry door to be. Oh, my hand hit the top corner, my bad. I took us back to Sonos. Yeah, see, so you see this now playing? It's just like this button. The side of my hand hit it, so it pulled us out of the shade control and back to the Sonos. That's what that was. Again, let me grab a shade that we can watch. So yeah, you see this graphical display right here? I dragged that one down. Go ahead and take a look at that right door entry, that one shade that I was a micro command on. You can see that's the only one that's not all the way up now.
Wow. And see, guys, that's why the two-way communication with these URC.
It's so key.
It's so important with smart home stuff. You gotta have that type of control.
So now if we come over, and we have multiple pages. Zach has a lot of commands in here since this is kind of his home station room. He can run a lot of his full home commands here. So now we get into scene control, which is going to allow us to run some of the scenes that Zach has programmed without a programmer in Lutron or in Screen Innovation. It pulls these all in, so we can go ahead and hit Evening Relax here, and it's going to just dim the lights around the space and give us a nice,
Yeah, this is my favorite feature, guys, is having
all on, all off for the whole house.
Just having very, very specific macros that run across every single light in the house for different times a day. So like, go to that morning one. Yeah, that's the one that goes off every single morning automatically, or I can manually press it, but I have it automatically scheduled now to where I come down at 7 a.m. and everything is not fully on because I'm still waking up, but it's a nice, soft, kind of get your day started vibe.
It's something you don't even think about anymore. Instead of it being an abrasive light, you turn it on, oh, I'm waking up. You just get up, it's comfortable in your eyes, you walk through the space, you're no longer thinking about it.
Exactly.
And
So hit Evening Relax. That's the one that'll show the best because every single light is at like between 1% and 50%.
So I did just run the all on command, so everything is at 100% currently in the formal.
Okay, now hit Evening Relax.
Yep.
And with Evening Relax, I actually turn all the cans off except for very specific ones. So like if you look, I have these ones for a very nice, relaxing, I think it's 20% to light up the fireplace at the top. And then in the chandelier is just barely on. And then this chandelier here is just barely on. All of my under cabinet lights and over cabinet lights are on, but just barely. My under cabinet lights are just barely on. Even these lights, just barely on.
Yeah, and it's maybe not the most noticeable right now with the daylight we have, but at night it's just a nice glow to the room, lets you navigate without being blinded by lights or having any harsh.
Yeah, when we close the shades, you guys will be able to tell more.
Yeah.
And then we can run the morning scene to show them, that vibe. Hang with us, guys. We're trying to really, really deep dive into what we've done here before we move forward.
And these time-aligned hem bars, they look elegant. The house looks very organized. All your shades are moving at the exact same speed. Obviously some run for longer than others because they're longer, but they all move together. All right, so I'm gonna put us at the all on again so we can get a nice bright image in here and let the camera adjust back to it.
Yeah, so this is all on, guys. And then do my morning relax.
Okay.
Or morning wake, whatever it's called.
Here we go.
So as you can see in the morning, sun's coming up. It's still bright, but also a little relaxing.
The counters he's using to make his coffee, to get ready in the morning, they're well lit, but the whole room isn't blown out.
Exactly. Yeah, coffee station's nice and lit up. Everything feels nice. Keep in mind too, I would have the shades open typically.
Yeah, so then now I'll just switch from here to Evening Relax, and you can see kind of how the space transforms a bit. right? We've gotten rid of any harsh light. It's all soft, glow
Very
light.
easy on the eyes, getting
Yeah.
ready for bed, trying to just relax.
So that's kind of the, oh, you know what? Let me show the Ring, I guess.
Oh yeah, Ring's pretty cool.
Yeah, so his doorbell's integrated right here on this touchpad, and obviously, if the doorbell was to ring, you would get a pop-up notification on here, as well as it can go to any phone, any remote in the house, but I'm just gonna manually, oh, that's that programming that pulls us back to active. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the Ring here.
Well, we're never doing demonstrations like this. I'm always just selecting what I want and I'm done.
Yeah, so you can see now all the cameras are right there. If any of them sense motion or anything, indoor and outdoor cameras. The really nice one is the front doorbell. Any deliveries, the pages right to where you are in the house.
Even just when our guests get here, the other day we had a bunch of toddlers over and we had a dinner with the adults, and as our guests were arriving, of course, we're running around like crazy trying to get the food ready and drinks out, and as people are arriving, it's nice that it just pops up right there.
Yeah. It's just taking steps out of your day. And now here you can see some of the scenes that Zach commonly runs in the formal room. So we've published them right here in the formal room, which is movie time for this space, which closes the shades, dim the lights, and brings up their Apple TV. Is their streamer in this space up there in their movie room. They also have a movie room command, but obviously is a more dedicated theater that's booting the projector, closing the shades, making sure the system's run upright. His welcome home command, which we'll show off with geofencing, but you don't even really need this button anymore now that we've set up geofencing, because this welcome home and goodbye command run automatically based off
this
of
was
phone
before
location.
the geofencing. We set that up.
Yeah, and then we've got our dinner time command here, which go ahead and pages everybody in the house, tells them, hey, you're done working, get down, it's dinner time, it's family time, let's all get together. And then over here we just have, settings. We have it published here at Zach's house because Zach is in depth with this gear and constantly changing his home. So he's able to get into some of the integration options deeper, but typically those won't be published. You won't have to worry about it. And then we have a simple all up, all shade down button here, which again,
it's nice to have.
Yeah, and it keeps you from having to click into the shade control, go to the formal, and then hit open all. Now it's just a one button solution.
And all these menus, guys, they're 100% customizable to your exact liking in your house. This is just what I've chosen.
All these images can be changed too. I mean, you can literally, right here under entertainment, you could have a picture of the TV in the room, or, of a shade that's actually in your house, whereas we kind of have a stock shutter image here. So it's really...
We should probably change those out.
Oh yeah, welcome home and goodbye. Those are stock right now, but that could be a picture of Zach walking into his house or leaving his house. Really, whatever you want, we can customize there. And then there's just some little quality of life things. You can see the temperature outside, what the weather is currently like, if all the shades are closed, what the time is, what the battery is on this app. And again, because Zach is typically one touch.
Normally, I'm doing this so fast.
Boom, 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 he's gone.
Yeah.
So when he picks this back up, he wants it to pull up what is happening.
Exactly.
Instead of having to navigate to Sonos again. So we apologize about it jumping. That's just a practical use. Once a system is installed in the field, you want it automated and acting like that. So yeah, and then again, right here, I've got this power button for the formal room. I can go ahead and just shut it off, turning off. I'm done. You can walk away from the room.
Done.
Every room has a custom menu. Every room's got its own options. Some of them, like the goodbye and welcome home scene, show up here and in the master, as well as like good night scene. But then, this movie time scene that's specifically programmed for this formal room doesn't show up in the kitchen interface. It doesn't show up in the other rooms that it's not associated with you. So it's specific to the room you're in. What the graphical user interface looks like to you. And that just gives us a ton of freedom. It's something Zach has chose not to dive into, but you could, like, let's say you've got a Roku or an Apple TV and you've got you want a Netflix button there, you can go ahead and add them to shortcuts here. So if you know that's always what you're using the space for, maybe there's one playlist that you always wake up to, you can go ahead and drop it as a shortcut and make it even quicker. So super customizable. You can go ahead and add shortcuts. You hold there, and now I can go ahead and, even though Zach doesn't have one, maybe we add, I don't know, maybe the Apple TV is a shortcut command here, right? So now when he comes here, instead of having to go into there, it just goes like that, and now we're already ready for the Apple TV. So, and as you can see, I'm not into programming software right now. I just did that as the end user,
That's
as the
pretty
customer, and made my own interface available for us to use. And it's so customizable. So again, this little button right down here between main and plus brings up our shortcut menu. And if you want to change something, you press and hold. There's a little white loading bar. It might be hard to see, just to make sure that you're trying to change. And now we can set a sleep timer or something like that. So now, boom, turn off this room when, well, maybe it's in your master bedroom, you just have some music on, you know you're gonna be asleep in an hour or so, but you're trying to go to sleep to some nice sounds. Maybe you've got a white noise playlist, you can go ahead and set the room.
We actually do that.
Yeah, in 105 minutes. So you can.
Brown noise.
Yep. Boom. So now I go back to my shortcut, I click on my timer, and you can see how much is remaining on the sleep timer for the room.
And what's really cool, guys, is like typically a TV may have a sleep timer, or one component may have a sleep timer, but this is
full integration.
Every single component in the line is being set up.
And we can set it to when that sleep timer goes off, it closes your shades. If you can imagine it, and you've got those smart aspects in your home, like you have Lutron lighting or another smart lighting, you have screen innovation or shades, anything is possible once those systems are installed within their constraints, right? So the dinner time command can make sure that the TV isn't running if they wanted to make sure that there's no TV, or maybe it's dinner time and it turns off the little man's upstairs AV area that he normally is running around and isolated with his play area. It could flash the lights at him. You know, it already plays music over the speakers like a dinner bell sound, but the possibilities are really endless, and that's where it gets cool. So you get this house, you get kind of a, I don't want to say a stock, but like a beginner template to the home integration, right? So you've got your Apple TV or Xfinity, and then it becomes magic. You live with the house for a little bit, you figure out what you want, what the wife wants, what the kids need. Then you reach back out to your programmer and have them make that a reality in your home. So these systems grow with you as you grow in your home. Furniture changes, you know, homes change, kids move out eventually. All of this is not a one-stop, you know, sale solution that then you're stuck with however the smart home system works. These fully custom integrated homes, they're constantly changeable.
Right. Oh,
Just went ahead and rang the dinner bell. You can hear it ringing in Zach's office.
Dinner time.
Zach's in trouble.
Zach's in trouble. He's working longer than he said he would, as usual. Stop working, Zach. That's pretty cool.
It's the little things that make the magic in these homes over time. So yeah, it's
yeah, like right now we're filming and it's a little dark. Can you turn on all the lights for us, Chase?
Yes, I can.
It's little things like getting our color grading right when filming.
I didn't open up a new app. I didn't walk around and hit 20 keypads.
You just turned on 30 different fixtures in one button.
One button solutions, yep.
Pretty cool.
Seamless whole home integration. It's you don't appreciate it till you have it, and then you're like, what was I doing
Well,
before?
And then you can never live without it once you have it.
I can't imagine how much time it would add to your daily routine if you went and did all these little things that we've automated into your life.
Like I said, just the basic stuff, I would estimate at least 15, 30 minutes. All the advanced stuff that we now have in place, I know for a fact, actually, I just wasn't doing it. I was like, it's not worth pulling out my phone.
Your movie room, before the system, 3, 4 remotes pointing at different places to hit the AVR, to make sure the projector's IR
I had to
received.
train my 3-year-old to turn it all on because I was so sick of doing it.
Which is crazy because that little dude, he's 4 years old and he can walk around and operate this house like the back of his hand. It's pretty funny.
It's scary. it's real scary.
But now he just walks in, movie time. Takes care of the rest.
Exactly.
Make sure the lights are in the right spot, the shade, you know, the cans that are right over the screen, they're gone. the shades drop, the projector boots up, his AVR is set to whatever starting level he likes, so that can be set to last listening volume, which we don't like to do. We like to set it at a nice audible volume that's not going to blow you away.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have some of this stuff automated, maybe you were jamming out
The night
to a
before.
loud movie.
Yeah.
You turn it on at 9 a.m. All of a sudden, the whole home's awake because the little guy decided to try and watch a cartoon.
We did the same thing in this room. I think we have it defaulting to something really low.
It's like 15%.
15%.
Yeah, it's like something nice, and
just
then you
to
can
be
come
careful.
in there, and all of that's thought of by the install crew, by the programmers,
and by the
with
homeowner.
Feedback.
Working, that's the key, guys. So that's good. I'm going to say in closing is through all of these advancements in technology, we want to be your go-to provider. Not only today, but 20 years from now. Like you brought up, when the kids move out, if Wilder ever moves out.
It's a cool home.
I'm just
it's a
joking.
Cool house. I wouldn't move out.
But yeah, we're planning on having more kids. So as we have more children, life's going to change, and we're going to need to consistently make updates. And that's the key, is to have a company that's there for you to make those changes to fit your lifestyle and to make your life easier. We want to make these homes enjoyable.
We want to make sure that they run 5, 10, 15 years in the future like they did when you walked into them.
Like it still does on Air Force One today.
Yes, sir.
I love that little drop that URC is running actively on Air Force One and has been running for years. It's pretty cool. That's what really, that's what sold me, is that they have these legacy systems that the US government purchased years ago, homeowners purchased years ago, that are still operational. Because for me as a business owner, I want you guys to call me with updates, call our team with updates on, not call me and say, something's broke. I don't want you to come out of pocket for things you've already paid for. I want you to invest in future new fun stuff. So
hey, we found this really cool thing we want the house to do when I'm grilling on the patio. Can you make that happen? Which of course our answer is yeah. We'll get you booked and we'll make that, less of a mundane process in your life. We'll automate it, take it out of your to-do list.
What's cool too is for small stuff that may need to be done on the fly, is you can remote in.
I can. So for a lot of programming, since we've gone through that process, which we said starts with the network, we've set up the network right. We have management of the power, of the network, of all the URC gear remote.
All of that is key if you want remote management.
A lot of times I get calls, hey, my Wi-Fi's down, and I check and the house is already rebooting itself. And okay, give it 5 minutes. You're like, oh, it's back up, thank you so much. And I didn't do anything because we took the time to automate these homes right the first way. And just like, Zach wanted geofencing turned off the other day, and from my house, 30 minutes away, it took me 2-3 minutes, and I was able to change some of his scenes and get him to where he wanted, and he continued his life seamlessly without waiting for me to arrive and having to sit at his house while I'm sitting here programming. We're able to manage most of this remote and just make it a more seamless experience.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we've piled on a lot during this video. This actually could potentially be our longest video ever, Chase. Let's see, where are we at? We're at 1 hour and 50 minutes. Oh my God. I don't know if YouTube will take this one. We'll see. But this is where we're heading, guys. Very extensive, full scope, top to bottom, way above and beyond audio video. And this is what I'm truly passionate about, is whole home system design, helping the customer with white glove service from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to have Chase here as a seasoned professional. He's not only certified in URC, which is my chosen platform, he's certified with Control4, Josh AI, Savant, Crestron. So we have seasoned team members here that can handle any integration. But I truly do believe, from a third-party integration and support standpoint, URC is an industry leader, and they've won the tech support award for best service 13 years in a row.
Yeah.
I think it's 14
They're
now.
one of the only
13 or
places
14
where
years.
you can call in as an end user client and have help with using your system, as opposed to being, told, get over to your dealer.
Yeah.
They're just really thorough at every point in the process, and they test this gear so religiously. I mean, I do rep a lot of brands. There are not many brands where every single thing they drop is so rock solid and reliable.
And that's what sold me.
Yeah.
Reliability is key, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative and helping you make a buying decision, or at least educating you on what you might want to put in your next home. I know I have homeowners that, I'll go out to shoot the final video of their home complete and they're like, I've been watching your videos for years. Like, thanks for putting out that content. I've watched 100 videos. Like, thank you guys for your support. Like, we are just so blessed to have the support from around the country that we have, that now it's just motivating me to do better and better. And all of our technicians, I mean, it is seriously heartwarming when we go to these trade shows and we see you guys out in your homes and you just have great things to say about us. It makes us want to do better and better day after day. So that's where we're heading with full home integration, top to bottom, is just really covering you in-house here at Dream Media with everything technology related that you need for your house. And we are next going to be expanding into the Tennessee, Nashville markets with our national sales director, Kellen, down there, and following New Jersey. So it's gonna be a heck of a lot of work, but a heck of a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
I always tell people I'm like a kid just playing with toys every day. I mean, I don't know what I would have done with my life other than this, because it is just so fun. We're truly passionate about what we do here at Dream Media, and we would love the opportunity to earn your business. So if you're building your own dream home out here in Colorado, reach out. Get us in as early as possible, if you can. If it's a new construction retrofit, literally, if you're meeting with your designers now, you're sitting down with the architects, call us, get us in now. If you just bought a home and you don't really have a choice, you say you're gonna be closing in 30 days, give us a ring now. We'll start to make the plans so that when you do close on the home, a lot of the time what we'll do is come in for a week. You go on vacation, we'll come in for a week or two and deck that house out. When you get back, you have the furniture installed, we'll do some minor programming tweaks, and your house is modern day 2024. So
we'll have some videos out soon on really legacy control systems that when people bought the home, they came in and they weren't working. And we've just gone through and refreshed everything and brought it back up to the current standard for tech.
Yeah, like that one over in Vail as a prime example, 2015. It's not that old, but a lot has changed. That's 9 years now.
Yeah.
A lot has changed, and a lot of stuff just didn't work. So we gave them a little refresh, and now everything works seamless.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be showing more and more of these projects. I wanted to bring in the product into my own personal home so I could vouch for our customers that it's legit. Everything works.
We live with the products we recommend.
Every product in this home, you'll see all these brands are on our website. And it's because now that I've tested it, I thoroughly,
It got Zach's stamp of
thoroughly test those subwoofers. About blew the drivers out on them the other day with that bass test.
I was watching ripples on the glass.
My wife, she comes in and she goes, that couldn't break the windows, could it? And I'm like, well, there's only one way to find out. So yeah, we love this stuff, guys, and we'd love the opportunity to help you out as well. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and smash that subscribe button down below for more. Till next time, this is Zach and Chase with Dream Media Home Theater. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.